This is Annie of ByAnnie.com and Patterns by Annie. Thank you so much for joining us today for Live with Annie. As usual, we've started the stream a bit early. This helps us get everything set up and broadcasting properly to our various platforms. You can find a countdown clock on the screen showing how long it will be until we actually go live. While you wait, please connect with us and other viewers in the chat. Let us know where you are from and whether you're a new or longtime viewer. We'll see you live soon! Hi, it's Annie again, reminding you that we'll be going live with this week's episode shortly. There is a countdown clock on the screen showing how much time is left. You've got just enough time to grab some water or a beverage of your choice and a snack, and to connect with us in the chat. We'd love to hear what you've been working on this week. Again, it's Annie, back to remind you that we'll be starting this week's live very shortly. We've got a really fun episode planned for today, and we'll see you soon. Hi, I'm Annie of ByAnnie.com and Patterns by Annie. Thank you so much for joining us for episode 28 of season 4 of Live with Annie. Today we are visiting with Billy Reue, an architect, artist, quilter, and FreeSpirit fabric designer. We will delve into Billy's creative process, inspirations, and the design philosophy behind his work. And of course, we've got lots of awesome By Annie projects made using Billy's fabrics to share. So stay tuned. If you enjoy these episodes, please take a moment to connect with us wherever you're tuning in. If you think someone else would appreciate the content we're sharing, please spread the word about Live with Annie. Tagging them while you watch will bring them right to the episode so they can enjoy it too. And we really value your feedback, so please interact with us during the presentation. We are eager to hear your thoughts and learn from you. Don't hesitate to drop any questions you have in the comments or chat, and we'll make sure to address them before we wrap up. Last week, we had a delightful visit with Gudrun Erla of GE Designs. Gudrun taught us about her amazing rulers and techniques and shared ideas for incorporating patchwork into By Annie projects. If you missed that episode or want to watch it again, remember that you can find all the previous 165 episodes of Live with Annie on our Facebook page, our YouTube channel, or at ByAnnie.com. And we've put up all the links to make them easy for you to find. Time for a quick drink of water. I have not been drinking enough water lately. So as I said, today we are visiting with Billy Reue, one of my very favorite FreeSpirit fabric designers. Billy maintains an architecture practice in New York City, is involved in design education, and is known for his thoughtful projects that marry creativity with pragmatism. You can definitely see the influence of architecture and building on his fabric designs, and I can't wait to learn more about his processes. So please help me welcome Billy Reue.
Hi, good to be here.
Hey there, Billy. It is such a treat to have you here today. We've been planning this for a long time, and I'm glad we were able to finally make it work. We have really loved working with all of your fabulous fabrics, and I can't wait to learn more about you and your inspiration behind each of these. But before we do that, I want to talk a little bit more about your architecture practice. I would have expected that an architect based in New York City would be designing high-rises and commercial buildings. So I was really surprised when I went to your website and visited and saw all the modern buildings that have really been influenced by nature and their surroundings. So can you tell us a little bit about a couple of your favorite architectural projects?
Yeah, sure. The practice I do is mostly residential, but we can do some small retail and some hospitality. There were some images that they might throw up. That House in the Woods project was a very important project for us. And this was in upstate New York. It's a single family residence on the top of a mountain with a view into the kind of the valley below. There's a lot of interesting materials in this building, bluestone on the outside, cut in these thin lines. This is a LEED silver house, if anyone knows what that is. It's like an environmental type of regulation that if you comply with certain types of performance, it connotes a very high energy efficiency house. There's a second image of this house from the other side.
Wow.
So this house kind of has two faces. On one side, it's this view out to the landscape, and on this side, it's got this cortin wall that lights up at night and kind of stitches it into the landscape. Kind of this very romantic way of living. But there's other work we do too. We do a lot of pro bono work. There's a building in Africa we just finished in Soweto. This is the Devlin Community Campus that was donated to the University of Johannesburg. And this is an 8-year ongoing project with Growing Up Africa, which is a wonderful nonprofit. And it is now a satellite campus for the university that teaches entrepreneurship in this particular area of Johannesburg. We also do some hospitality projects, like restoring an old hotel. There's one collection we might talk about called Tavern Road, it was inspired by this town. So we found a building that looked like this and turned it into a restored hotel. The next image you'll see is this beautiful 14-bedroom hotel with a wonderful restaurant. So that type of historic renovation work we do. In the city, a lot of people know me for the townhouses I do all over the city, in the West Village, Upper East Side. This is one in particular that was pretty grandiose, this long, slender townhouse. And if you click, there's an image that shows kind of a more quiet interior. And most of my work is like this very, very calm, serene, minimalist architecture. And I like to tell folks, we're really trying to say the most with the fewest words. And the quilt design, fabric design stuff I do is almost the antithesis of this. It's very colorful, shouting at you with beautiful, beautiful color. But the few projects, maybe two.
Those are fabulous. Yeah, those are almost like white whole cloth quilts, and then you can bring your colorful stuff in to accent them. Yeah. Those are really amazing.
It's a compositional game. Yeah.
For sure. I am really curious to know, how does an architect get into quilting and fabric design? How did that happen for you?
Well, it was one of those fortuitous events where, I'm from Texas. People who know me know my family is very, very important. I go down there all the time. And it was one trip I was home in maybe 7 or 8 years ago, where one of my older sisters wanted to go to a free quilting workshop. I hope I get this right. I think it was the Quilt Guild of Greater Victoria. And it was we went there. I wanted to go with her to hang out and see what they were doing. And it was so incredible. And I was blown away just by the simple things they were teaching at that workshop. And I bought a sewing machine, had it shipped back to my office, and basically taught myself how to do this using YouTube videos. My sister and I both became obsessed in a really good way about this. It was a really good way to pour a lot of creative energy into becoming a quilter, just teaching yourself.
That's really awesome. I love hearing that. And really a wonderful way to connect with your sister too. I remember meeting you and Yvonne at Fall Market last year, and I was really happy to hear that she's a ByAnnie bag maker. So I think it's really fun for her to be able to make bags with fabrics that you designed. I'm wondering, do you ever get a chance to just get together and sew together?
We've done that once. I think it was at the end of COVID. It was basically, we made a reason for everyone to get together. We called it Quiltapalooza. And it was the first time it was in mid-2020, I believe, or maybe it was after that, whenever you could get the vaccination and everybody be safe together. And so we did a 2-day weekend just in her sewing room. But she's involved, and my little sister too. I have 5 sisters. And they're actually all involved in some way in our fabric design enterprise here, because they all have a different voice and we enjoy doing it together. So there's some people where, like Yvonne has a quieter, she likes a certain type of traditional fabrics and patterns, but she's changing in that. And my little sister, her name is Susie, she's so articulate and she's able to help us name fabrics because her pop culture references are so spot on, and we just have a lot of fun. I mean, it's kind of a little locus that brings us all together, and we just enjoy doing it.
That is so awesome. So are you the only boy in the family?
No, I grew up with 2 brothers.
Wow.
And everybody in our family enjoys going to a fabric store. When we had our first, or there was a small store in Luling, Texas that hosted us. Even one of my brothers came just to be part of the party, and we love it because we get to hang out with my mom and spend time looking at beautiful things and talking about creativity.
That is so much fun. I have 4 sisters, almost caught up with you. No brothers.
You did the 5-sister thing.
5 girls in my family. I'm really the only one that enjoys sewing. My older sister used to sew and make garments, but quilting makes absolutely no sense to her. Why you would cut up fabric into little pieces and sew it back together, way too much work for her. She wanted to make one of my patterns, and I sent it to her, and she just said, nope, not for me, too much. And my other sisters have absolutely no interest in it other than the finished projects. They all love getting ByAnnie bags, but they don't want to do the work of making them. So, but fortunately, I've got lots of other people around me who enjoy that, so that works too. We can make family in lots of different ways, for sure.
True.
So I want to talk a little bit about how your background in architecture influences your approach to fabric design, because I see a lot of influences from those pictures you showed in the fabric that you've done. But can you talk a little bit about that?
Sure. I think in architecture, let's just say the principles of design are applicable in architecture or fabric design, quilt making, fashion. All of these are universal principles. So, the way I approach my architecture projects with this idea of simplicity, kind of grounded by structure and purpose, is the same way I approach the fabric design. My stuff is typically, and it just comes out of my core. It's highly structured. It has some type of rhythm and balance. There's typically some type of narrative or romantic story behind it, no matter how abstract, but that's how I design. It's almost like, sometimes you'll hear actors saying that they have to create the background of a character to know how to play the role. That's very much how I approach architecture and approach fabric design. You want to tell a story that's relevant at that time, that will also outlive you, and it's a lot of fun.
Yeah. What a great way to put it. I love that. I know that a lot of times I start a pattern by picking out a name for it, because that influences a lot of where I'm going. I've had to try to back off from that a little bit and do it, but for me it's always easier if I have kind of a story, like you say, of at least how it's going to be used, and all of that really influences the design in so many ways. So tell us a little bit about your creative process when you begin designing a new fabric. How does a fabric go from a concept to a final product, and how do you translate elements that pertain to architecture into textile designs?
Sure. A lot of the quilt fabric you see today is screen printed, digitally printed with, anywhere from 12 to 16 layers of color, and the printmaking process defines actually the geometry of what that design might be. Most of my stuff is digitally printed, and so I'm able to use a different process of photo manipulation, or directly from some of my paintings or my drawings. And so I'm starting with a lot of artwork that I create at the beginning, and then using different types of software and photo manipulation, I'm able to start creating a language, and I put it up on my pinup board, and I start seeing what is the story that's evolving. And so, whereas a lot of people will start with very, very crisp digital art in Illustrator or other types of software, mine is much more loose. That kind of begins, from a very large spread of types of art making, prints, drawing, photography, anything. And then we work with the creative team at FreeSpirit to help kind of hone the collection into a very cohesive vision or statement that can be used by a lot of people. I don't want to ever kind of minimize the idea of pragmatism. Ultimately, we're trying to make designs that people can use. And I like to tell people very often, it's like I'm making the 8 Crayolas in the crayon box, or the 16, and then let's see the piece of art that you can make with the crayons I made in this collection. And it kind of helps me understand what I'm doing, the purpose of each little piece in the collection. Does that make any sense?
Absolutely, and I totally agree, because it's got to be so fun for you to see people take your fabric designs and come up with so many different ways of using them, and perhaps combining them with other people's design as well. I know we are really happy that you are a FreeSpirit designer, and I know they are happy to have you on board too. So how did that collaboration come to be? How did you get connected with FreeSpirit? And you spoke a little bit about how they help bring your vision to life. Is there anything else you want to add to that?
Yeah, I mean, it was a very serendipitous thing again, where I'd been quilting for a couple of years, and it was a time in my career when I was considering other things beyond architecture, teaching and other things like that. I literally sent an email to one of the fabric designers on the FreeSpirit roster and said, hey, how does one become a fabric designer? I really, really love and admire your work. And here's a little portfolio of some of my creative work outside of architecture, just so that person had a vision of what I was about. And that designer was so generous and forwarded my portfolio onto the creative director and said, they will be calling you tomorrow and tell them what it is that you would like to do. And if it works out, I'd be your, that's great. And so it was one of those things where I took a chance, and I had no idea what I was doing to ask that way. It wasn't an intention for it to be forwarded on to someone who would actually make a decision. I was looking for general advice. What does someone do? And I can't thank this designer enough. She's incredible.
That's really awesome. Well, I'm really glad that that worked out that way, and I'm not at all surprised. I'm sure that when they got that, they called you that same day. Yeah, I'm not at all surprised with that, because we really love it. So let's start talking fabric. So we are really excited that we have been able to make things with all 4 lines that you designed for FreeSpirit. And so I'd like to just kind of do a walk down memory lane, start at the beginning, and we'll show some of the models that we made, and I'd love to hear you talk a little bit more about the inspiration for each. So let's start with Madison One, which was the first fabric design that you did for FreeSpirit. It came out in July of 2021, and I remember just being completely blown away by the colors and the designs in this line. It is way up at the top of my very favorite fabric lines of all time. So tell us a little bit about what inspired you to make Madison One.
Madison One literally was based on a painting that I did of a building outside of my window overlooking Madison Square Park. That building, it's a tall building called One Madison. And I took a little section of it, the top piece, and reinterpreted it in painting. And every one of the prints from this first collection is derived from that painting. And the creative team at FreeSpirit was very good at guiding me and giving me confidence that it was coming together, making big suggestions, hey, a little bit more to the left, a little bit more to the right. But that's how it came. And I like the idea of my entry into fabric design actually having a name like that. There was a visual connection literally from my office to the inspiration out the window. And I thought Madison One was a good way to name the start of my work with FreeSpirit.
That's a great story. And I especially love the colors that are in this line. And I also like the fact that it's a fabric that has kind of a masculine aesthetic to it. I had been wanting to make a place for everything that a guy would enjoy using. And when this fabric came out, I thought it was just the perfect choice for that bag. And I remember that when I cut the bindings on this, I was really particular about cutting this striped fabric. We wanted to have really good contrast on it, and we didn't, especially when we did the handles. Normally we don't cut handles and straps on the bias, but we want it to have this full color range kind of show up all the way around. So we just cut a great big square and then cut that for our handles, for our bindings, and we use that on the outside of the bag. We did the straight up and down lines for the borders to give it a little bit more contrast, and then on the inside we used two different fabrics. So we did a different one that had more of the geometric shapes, and then we used the same fabric but with a little more of the turquoise showing on the inside. So I really love how this bag turned out. Then we
Me
took,
too.
from that line, we took the one that had the multicolored circles, and we made our get out of town with this. We did the red and navy My+1 print for the coordinate on it. So it's kind of a monochromatic bag, but lots of stuff going on there. And this is a perfect bag if kids are going, for sleepovers or a short weekend trip. This is just the right size for that. And then my very favorite one, actually, let's talk about this one next. So this is our night and day pattern. And we liked these prints so much because they were, again, kind of gender neutral. They were perfect for any occasion or season. And we liked this so much that this became the cover of the pattern. So the mini tote in this, which is what I've got the yarn in here, is reversible. So you can use this side out, or I'm not going to take everything out of here, but you can turn it inside out and you'd have this side on the outside. So you get two very different looks using these fabrics. And then this little purse will fit inside it, or you can carry it separately. It's got a carrying strap for it. This is the purse, not this particular one, but the night and day purse is the one I carry every day. It's just the perfect size. It's got two zippered compartments so you can keep things organized. There's a slip down the middle where you can put your phone. And to me, this fabric makes it perfect for wearing with jeans or, something, a classier outfit too. So this, again, is night and day made with Madison One. And then this fabric, which is called Strata, was probably my very favorite fabric in the line. I love the beautiful turquoise and green colors, the little pops of yellow and red here and there. And then we used the print called Basket Case for the coordinating handles and bindings and straps to kind of bring out those yellows and reds in there. So again, one of my very favorites. And boy, this is a bag big enough to take for a long weekend trip.
Yeah, I think those are extraordinary. Yeah, I remember thinking when I saw those for the first time, as you said, someone reinterpreting your work, and I just thought, oh, they totally got it. The collections are always mini collections, and if you put 3 or 4 together, the color harmonies really work well together, and you're, of course, a master at it.
Well, we have a lot of fun combining those. And it's not hard, in my opinion, to pick 3 fabrics that go together. I run into more problems when I try to do a quilt or patchwork where I have a whole bunch. So this, to me, is much easier, and your fabrics were just perfect for that. So your next line was Log Tavern Road, and that came out in May of 2022. I'm kind of curious if that line was already in the works when Madison One came out, because that was only 6 months between those 2 lines, which doesn't seem like very much time to try and pull another line together. So can you tell us about how the time frame usually works when you're designing a fabric collection, and what inspired you to design Log Tavern Road?
Yeah, typically it's about a year-long process. And so what happened in that particular case, because it came out so quickly, I must say I was so surprised that the first collection was as successful as it was, and FreeSpirit was willing to take a chance on me to do another one rather quickly. And so we started right away, and we were so enjoying the process. It didn't take much time at all. And so with that collection, which draws from the town where that hotel was, I went back to my kind of deeper into my kind of architectural reservoir of imagery to kind of pull that collection from it. And I wanted to try something that was a bit more literal. You have a lot of the hand drawings with the houses and things like that, but then the big geometric things, the moves with the circles and things like that, we'd seen that was successful with the first collection, and I wanted to make sure we had enough of that in it. So the process typically will take about a year to do it. We were very fast producing this one to make sure we had it out in time.
That is awesome and really great. This, again, when I saw this one, oh my gosh, I just fell in love with it too. As soon as I saw this print, which is called Milltown, I knew what I wanted to make with it right away. I wanted to do a set of our Contain Yourself bins, because to me this would look good in lots of places, in an office, in a home, in a kid's room, so many ways to use it. And the really wonderful thing about this pattern, so this is called Contain Yourself, and the pattern uses just 1 yard each of 2 fabrics. So you need a main fabric and a lining fabric, and you can get a large bin, a medium one, and 2 small ones out of that 1 yard of each fabric. And you can mix things up if you want. Like on this, we used the lining side as the lining, and on here we used the lining side as the main. But these are really perfect for, you know, storing whatever you want to hide kind of in the house. We designed them so that they fit on the shelves of an IKEA bookcase. So this fits there. You can put 2 of the small ones next to each other. And these are really fabulous for storing fabrics in, clothes, so many toys, lots and lots of ways to use these. I think you need a set of these for your office, Billy.
I'm actually thinking, the problem I have with my fabric is I have so much light in here, I'm worried about my fabric fading. But as I'm looking at those, I'm already thinking, if you didn't see this big quilt hanging behind me, you would see all of my fabric in a mess. And I'm going to commission my sister to make me some of those Contain Yourself bags. And I love the name of it. That's a great pattern name.
Thank you. We also have a pattern called Room with a View that's similar to that, but it has a vinyl window down the front so you can see what's inside of it. And those have zippered lids at the top so you don't have to worry about dust and stuff getting in them. So she might want to look at that one too. And they're very similar in size to that. So they hold a ton of stuff. So here is another set of Night and Day that we made. You can see how different it looks from the one we made with Madison One, and this will really add a pop of color to any outfit. This pattern is designed so that you do a border on the outside, which is necessary because there's a magnet here that closes the flap. We usually do a contrasting fabric, and a lot of times we'll pick one that matches the tote bag. But you can also do that with just the same fabric. Like on this one, we could have done the blue here and had a more solid, just one look to that color. So lots of ways that you can interpret this pattern and make it your own. Back on the shelf. Then this one is our ultimate travel bag. This is one of our best-selling patterns. People really love making this bag. It's fairly easy to make. I always say if you've made Easy Does It, Ultimate Travel is all the same things with just a few extra pockets and handles added in. And because it's a little bigger, sometimes people find it easier. So this is a good next project once you've learned the basic techniques. So for this one, we used the same Milltown fabric that we used for the Contain Yourself, but in the different colorway. And then we used the bunchberry print for the coordinate to make the bindings and the handles and straps and all of those. And then we did a variety of different fabrics on the inside for the lining and inner fabrics. But this would be perfect for a road trip to small town America, I think. And of course you need something to pack all your possessions in, to organize your clothes. So we also did a matching set of Contain Yourself. The other two are up on the shelf up there. I didn't bring them all down. Pack it in, what did I say? Contain Yourself, yeah. It's getting hot in here, and I'm losing my mind here. But pack it in. All right. So this is perfect for organizing your clothes. And for this set, we quilted just one fabric, and we used one side out for the outside and a different side for the inside, and we alternated those on the others in the set. And then we also thought we better have something to organize all of our travel essentials like our makeup and things like that. So for that, we used the green print in the line that has the houses on it, and we combined it with the crop circles print for the coordinate on that. So this actual pattern calls for 3 fabrics. So it calls for a main and a lining, but we didn't really like any of the coordinates for the outside, and we had been wanting to try one where we did the coordinate out of the same as the main, and I really love how that turned out to give this a little more of a subdued look. I'm sure there were other fabrics in the collection that would work, but we'd used so many for other projects that we didn't have much left at that point. So, and then when
the green
we did,
looks great.
when we did the hot tool sleeve that's part of that pattern, we switched things up, and what was the main on this one became the coordinate on here, and then we did the crop circles, which was the coordinate on there for the main on this. And I really love this set. This is one that has gone to lots of shows with us because it really shows up well, and people really love it. So that, again, is the projects that we've made using Log Tavern Road, which for some reason I always want to call Log Tavern Lane. So that name would have worked well too, I think. All right. So then after that came Architecture School, which was released in May of 2023. So tell us what your inspiration was for Architecture School.
Well, it was, my stuff, it becomes a bit autobiographical, right? So Architecture School is derived from, I had taken some time off during COVID to go teach at the University of Oklahoma, and was reacquainting myself with all the things that you have to do as an architecture student or an architecture professor. And so this one had some kind of more literal motifs of like the columns, doodles from the houses, floor plans. And then that one that looks like a little triangle or an airplane is really the edge of a scale, which is a ruler. And then some of those more emotive prints at the top left were some gestural landscapes. So Architecture School was also something I wanted to do as a screen printed process. I was trying that out instead of doing the digital. So the colors on this particular collection are more crisp. The edges are more crisp. And it was a lot of fun. Super color saturated. And if you look at how this one is organized, there is a blue line, a cool, and then the reds are the warms, and then our yellow greens are kind of the neutrals. So we were really trying to do super saturated, hyper geometric story with this color. And it came about because I was at the time teaching, and that's what was on my mind. I thought it would have been cool, and it's not stuff that I've seen in stores before, this kind of ombre of columns coming down. So I thought, I'm always trying to do something I don't see in the stores and something I want to try out. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I really liked that ombre on the columns, and also on the ones that, I'm sorry, I was digging out models, so I didn't hear all of it, but the ones that kind of had like the triangular shape, how they went from one color
Yes.
to the other one. I especially loved this one that we used for the handles on there. We have the yellow one that goes from really dark yellow to light yellow, and I have to admit we've got some of that sitting there because I haven't decided exactly what to use it for. It's waiting for just the perfect project, but we'll come up with something with that coming soon. So Architecture School arrived for us just as we were working on new patterns for Fall Market in 2023. So we used it to make models of several of our new patterns that were introduced last fall. And we really felt like this line had so many great prints, and we enjoyed using several of them on this courtside bag. So this particular pattern was designed for people who wanted something to carry tennis rackets or pickleball paddles in it. So we have an open pocket on the front that zips open so that you can put those inside. I love this bag for travel. I'm not a pickleball or tennis player, but it's great for holding my laptop and all those other things. And this pattern calls for two main fabrics. So one that's used for basically the body of the bag, and then another one that's used for the pockets on the front and back. So this one is the floor plan print that's kind of more subdued, and then we use this really freeform stripe for the pocket on the front and the pocket on the back. And then we fussy cut the mostly red and orange sections of perfect scale to use for the coordinate on here. And on the inside we just did kind of a whole variety of colors, mixing and matching with all kinds of things from the line. And then we needed some little wallets to go with that bag, so we used the Architecture School to make some little So Simple wallets. This is a new pattern that we came out with last year that has options for wallets in 3 styles. So you can do one that has just one pocket, you can do one that has 2 pockets, or you can do one that has 3 pockets. And these are great for credit cards, business cards, cash, and really nice little simple gifts for friends and family. Then we did a set of ditty bags to go inside our court side, and we made this set using just one piece of quilted fabric. So on the small and the large, we used the floor plan fabric on the outside, and then on the medium, we turned that inside out, and we used what was the lining on these as the main fabric on there. And then we alternated using whatever the opposite fabric was for the borders and the bindings on those. So that really adds some interest to the set, but it makes it really simple to construct them because you just have to quilt one piece of fabric. And we used that same concept when we made this set of Out to Lunch with the darker stripe as the exterior of the large and the lighter buildings for the exterior of the small. And this became the cover of that pattern. We liked it so much that it became our cover girl for Out to Lunch. And we did the columns for the handles and straps on this one, and I enjoyed kind of fussy cutting it for the stabilizer sleeve that goes on the inside, so you can kind of see how the color gradates and goes from dark to light, and that made it really fun to add a little interest to the inside of that bag.
Yeah,
all right.
I thought those were amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, these are really fun, and a lot of people have been making these. We designed them to be bags to carry your lunch in. My daughter-in-law needed a new lunch bag, and the one she had was much too small. So we made the small one, and then we updated the pattern to have a larger size. But I've seen a whole lot of people use these just as a purse or a project bag. There's so many ways that you can use them. They're fun to make. So that brings us now to Mosaic, which is your latest line, which is shipping to stores this month. So tell us all about Mosaic.
Yeah, Mosaic is, so this is collection number 4 for FreeSpirit, and it should be in stores this week, I believe. Mosaic was, because we've made a few collections that already, we kind of knew what was popular of those. I wanted to do something that kind of, in a way, mosaic, right? Puts the bits and pieces together, then reinterprets them anew. If you look on the right here in the image, the inspiration image, this is a Tiffany panel. You know, Tiffany is known for Tiffany glass with different types of, you know, lampshades and things like that. But they also did fine artwork that was inset into architectural elements. This particular image is what helped inspire this collection, kind of this muddied, jewel tones, if you will. And in the collection, you'll see things that kind of hit these color notes and kind of color patterns, this kind of organic bleeding of color that's defined by some rough geometric shape. And we've been so thrilled with the reception of this so far. Already there's been a few folks who've made a few things and sent me pictures of it, and I couldn't be happier. Some of the quilts that we've designed out of this look fantastic as well. Oh,
I had us muted.
I can hear you now.
Yeah, Jake had us muted, sorry. Yeah, I was going to say, I've seen some of the blocks that you've posted on social media, and I'm looking forward to you showing those to us in a little bit. We had a whole lot of fun making things with Mosaic. Unfortunately, some of them are out traveling the country already for trunk shows, and they'd already been gone when we started planning this event, but we do have photos to share. So we made a set of our Hot and Heavy, which was our new pattern that we introduced in June, made using that. Do you have pictures of that, Jake? Whoops. We don't have pictures, but we did make one, and it turned out really cute. And we also did a set of eye cases. Do you happen to have pictures of that one? Oh, sorry, I must have.
It was just the information to show on the screen. I didn't know about
pictures. Oh, sorry. All right, so we made eye cases too.
Yeah, you had shared with me that that it was so great that people were asking for them for the trunk shows, and I know that they're going to be so extraordinary. So you've shown me some of the stuff you've made that really blew me away.
Yeah, and they were really fun. So the eye cases that we did were the red and purple prints, and we kind of alternated the fabrics back and forth. They again were a really great gender neutral set, and they'd really make a great gift for anyone. So here are a couple things that we just got back from our model maker. So this is called Road Trip, and this is kind of the big brother to Catch All Caddy and In Control. So this is designed to go in your car to organize all the stuff that you're carrying around all the time. So it's got lots of pockets on the inside, both made out of mesh and quilted fabric. Pockets on both sides, both ends. And then on the inside we have our bellow dividers, which rather than being pockets that are closed at the bottom, they expand, so you can put something really bulky in there and the pocket expands to hold it. You can put your water bottle in there and it expands to hold it, and it's not going to fall over and spill, which is really helpful. I spill water on too many things. We put a carrying strap on it, so if you need to carry it in the house, you can. And then on this end, we added a little strap so that if you've got it on the car seat between the two kids, you can hook it in there, and you can hook this through the seat belt so that when you slam on the brakes, it doesn't go flying outside of the car. So we tried to think of everything on that. So that is Road Trip, and I forget the name of this fabric, but I thought it was perfect for going out in the car. And then this is another big travel bag called Round Trip Duffel, and it's more similar to Ultimate Travel Bag than it is to, say, our Travel Duffel Bag, in that this project has a front and a back and a zipper side strip that goes all the way around to make the top, bottom, and sides of the bag. That enables you to open the zipper partway down on each side, so you've got really good access to all the interior, and this is just a really good size for travel. So this is one of my very favorite prints. I love this one on here. I loved this blue. When we got it done, I kind of said, yeah, I'm not sure that picking that bright burgundy one was the right choice for the borders on the pockets, but it did. There was a fair amount of that in the fabric, and we used that color for the zipper. So there's so many ways you could do this. If I did this over, I might do the blue in here as a change, but you live and learn. So what you think is going to work doesn't always work as good as you expect it to, but it's a fun bag and a great bag for travel. So we really had so much fun sewing with your fabrics, Billy. I know you've sewn with a lot with them too, and as I said earlier, I've really enjoyed seeing some of the blocks that you've been posting on social media. So do you have any of those pictures or blocks that you can show to us?
Yeah, there's some quilt images that we put together that we can throw up that are made of this collection. So this one is called Staying Positive. And sometimes it's difficult to make a quilt that uses everything in the collection without it looking too chaotic. But this was our best attempt at that. So anyone who wanted to kind of understand the color palette of this particular collection, this is a great version of that. There's another quilt called Starburst that is a more edited, a little subset of the collection that people might like. And the kind of the letter red and the bluish thing and the yellow green of the star are two prints in the collection called Mirage. So there's this kind of blurry rectangular, kind of almost like what you see through your rear view mirror in your car at night imagery. And then we paired that with some of the calmer, that light blue, and then a solid cream. So the collection could work for conservative types patterns, more traditional patterns like this, and still look like $1 million. There's a third one we did. It's called Microchip, and this is probably one of the most ambitious quilts if someone wants to try, or maybe the modern quilter. Now this was inspired by all the little wires in the back of your computer and you deal with every day, and I just wanted something that's big and comprehensive that showed a lot of the larger swatches of the fabric, and you get to just enjoy the richness of it when you see it in person. Now, other people who've seen this said that the little shape looks like wine bottles, and I may be traveling to Napa soon to do a little event where we're reinterpreting this quilt as if it's kind of a wine country themed quilt. This is one of our favorites for this latest collection. A challenge to make, but spectacular when you see it in person. Then I made a few fun quilts. There's one called House Calls. Yeah, so this is actually an image of a quilt that I sewed. You can see it's not quilted yet in the image, but on the floor of my office. And this is everything in this quilt is using Mosaic. So I wanted to make one of these types of quilts that every family should have. When you're sick, your kid is home from sick from school, you have the special blanket that makes them feel better and special, or just one of those kind of family heirloom fun things that is unique and that we haven't seen before. But the collection lends itself to suggest certain things, like how the Band-Aid is, or the little pill bottles, and even the stripe and the thermometer. All of those things are ways you can interpret the little geometries within the quilt, within the collection. We had a couple of more. There's one called Pillbox, where every time we put out a collection, we want to make a sampler quilt where you can look at the fabrics relative to a solid. And I think this one is really, really pretty. So this was kind of a derivative of the theme of the House Calls, where we just took the pills, and it's a fun, easy geometric shape for someone who wants to experimenting with applique design. I've made a number of quilts like this, and it's one of my favorite types of things to make because it's fast and easy and really playful. And then the little band that holds the capsules together, if you see those stripes, you'll see all the range in color in that particular one particular fabric. There's one other quilt called The Year Without a Santa Claus. And this is my sister Yvonne designed this quilt during that Quilt Palooza event. And we have reinterpreted this quilt every time with each collection because it's proven to be kind of a popular pattern in the area where we grew up. There's a couple of quilt stores that sell this kitted, and we give the pattern away for free. But it's really pretty with this dark blue background. So the collection I wanted to show looks great when it's against a light neutral, but also can be spectacular and has a lot of pop when you put it against a dark, like a navy. Then there's two final quilts if we're going to throw up. It's called Seeing Red. And the reason I wanted to show this is, today we've talked about the continuity of my fabric design from collection 1 through 4. This quilt integrates all of the warm colors in all 4 collections, because I'm always trying to show retailers what they're going to be. They have some expectation, but also some surprise. And so you don't always sell out of a particular collection when you buy it. But once, for a new designer, you really want to show your versatility and your voice. And so this one, it's one of my favorite things. We did a photo shoot using this yesterday. And there's one final quote we'll end on. It's called Blue Wave. But it's the same theme of take all the blues, the cools of all the Force Fur collections, and show what they look like. And so when you see these two together, it was actually instructive for me is that my warm is a tomato red warm, and my blues are this kind of cerulean green blue. And it was just what I was naturally drawn to. And after this many collections, I started even learning about my own voice by doing quilts like this. It's still a journey of experimentation with me. So those are the quilts I just wanted to show and share with people so that they understand what Mosaic, the voice of what Mosaic is when it comes out.
Those were fabulous. I really loved seeing them. And the one on that you did, House Call, I love the idea of a quilt that you use only when you're sick. I mean, what a great idea, because nobody ever wants to be sick, and to add a little silver lining to that cloud is really a fun idea. And the pills with the little stripes down them, I would love to see that up close and examine all of those prints. So thank you so much for sharing those. And one thing that we're going to be doing, I never throw away any scraps of quilted fabric, and 2 or 3 weeks ago, we did an episode where I had taken scraps from a variety of lines and put them together to make a big panel for a project. I'm really excited to get out all my Billy Reue fabrics and take fabrics from all 4 lines and join them together to make a travel bag of some sort. So maybe I'll get that done in time for Houston. Let's watch for
yeah.
it.
Well, I have to say, yeah. I mean, when we saw you in Houston the last time, and we saw all of so many of the bags made with my fabric, it actually blew me away because we're such fans of what you do, and I was speechless, and I was so happy that you were able to have me on today.
Well, it was really fun. I really enjoyed learning more about you, about your transition from an architect to a fabric designer, see how you combine all your loves into something that all of us can enjoy too. I know you can't share too much information yet, but have you got any new lines in the works that you can tell us anything about, or any interesting collaborations that you're working on?
Absolutely. So of course, Mosaic just came out, and we hope people really get to see it, use it, and fall in love with it. But there's going to be something special coming at Quilt Market that we'll be talking about the next collection, and it's just as colorful, just as surprising, and I think people are going to be really thrilled to see what they can do with it. You know, if we're starting to establish a voice of what my work looks like, I think we really hit a high note with what's coming out in that we'll be showing at Quilt Market. The strike-offs literally arrived yesterday, and I will see them in person on Friday.
That's great. That's awesome. Well, I can't wait to see it too. We usually get fabric in enough time to have something sewn for the show, so hopefully that arrives in time that we can do that. So let our viewers know how they can connect with you and learn about what's coming next and follow you to see all the fun things that you're making.
Yeah, so we started, or I've started an Instagram called, that's purely my quilt work, and it's called Billy Reue Studio. My last name is Reue, so it's BILLYREUE Studio. And you'll see me post every couple of days. Sometimes people make things out of my fabric and send it to me, and I want to share it with the world. Sometimes it's a design process image, or it's me telling where I'm going to be talking about fabric. So as it relates to fabric, the Billy Reue Studio Instagram is where you can see that. People are interested in the architecture stuff. It's a separate thing where I have my William Reue Architecture Instagram and website. And you know, sometimes people are interested in knowing a bit more about the designers. And you can always look at that. It's there's tons and tons of stuff about the architecture on my website. And I think anyone who starts looking at them closely will start seeing some parallels.
That's for sure. I loved looking at all the buildings that you've designed and worked on. They're fabulous. And all the attention to detail, all the, the down to light fixtures and things on the walls and stuff. Really an amazing job. So I wanted to check and see, it looks like we've got a few questions posted. One of them was, are these fabrics available now? And you had said that Mosaic should be hitting stores this week. The other lines have been out for a while, so may still be available in stores. We put the names of the fabric lines out there so people can certainly look for them online if they're not available in their store now.
Right. My understanding is that Mosaic was shipped out to the stores last week, or July 12th. So it does take a while for the stores to get it, process it, and put it out. And then I'm always seeing some of the older collections available online at some retailers, and then some of the people who've been carrying my stuff for a while certainly might still have some. But you know, it's always great when people come in and ask specifically for a designer, because it tells the store that there's interest and they'll order more of that fabric. And that's always what I'm about. I just want people to know we're about the fabric, and hopefully people will fall in love with it.
Well, I don't think there's a question about that. I certainly did. Another question was, are the fabrics available in the UK?
I believe they are, but we should check with FreeSpirit. I know that there are other retailers, certainly in Australia and other places, that we've seen it available. But we can find the answer to this and let you know. But I do know it's available outside the United States. And I wouldn't be surprised if it is in the UK. I'm not sure, actually.
I'm guessing it probably is too. And for anybody that wants to find out, if you just email FreeSpirit Fabrics, so it's just FreeSpirit, all one word, fabrics.com, or go to their website, they might even have a find a store locator on there. I'm not sure if they do, but they'll be
You know
able to
what? There
answer
was
that question too.
It must be, because there was someone at Quilt Market from the UK at the last one who we had talked about it. So I do know that actually that person was able to get it. So
Okay.
I'm going to tentatively say yes.
Yeah. Well, I know that they have Tula fabrics and stuff. It's through a different distributor, but if they've got Tula, they're bound to have Billy Reue as well. So it's got to be there. They're crazy if they don't. The next question was, is Mosaic a batik?
It is not a batik. This is a digital print fabric that might have some batik aesthetics you might see, but it was not made in a batik fashion. But some of the prints in particular might look batik-ish if you were to see it in person. And this is one of those collections that you really want to, if you can, get your hands on it and see it in person, because the rendering of the color, your computer screen doesn't always do it justice. It has a very big depth of color that, as we all know, when we buy fabric, you can fall in love with it online, and then it comes and it's a little bit different. This color is so depth, has a lot of depth and variation, but it's not batik.
Yeah, I know that when Scott Fortunoff featured this on his blog, I think last week, he said it looks almost like it reflects, and in some ways it does. It's got such a beautiful appearance to it that you do have to see it in person. The next question was, are you still an architect?
I'm absolutely still an architect. I'm talking to you from my architecture office in New York City right now. This quilt in the back is just a backdrop. Actually, this is the second quilt I ever sewed. And when this quilt backdrop's not here, I'm working away designing houses and apartments and all kinds of interesting things. So yes, I still have a full-time architecture practice, and I'll probably be teaching here in New York in the fall as well, some type of design.
That's fabulous. The next question was, can these fabrics be ordered directly from your website?
Not my website. Again, what I work for FreeSpirit as a designer for them, and then they are the wholesaler that sells these fabrics to different places that sell the fabric. So I am not in the chain of fabric to retailer. I mean, to a retailer to customer. So to buy the fabric, I always want to encourage people, support your local quilt store near your hometown or your city, and go in there. Especially if they have a storefront, if you can walk in there and purchase things directly from them in their retail space, in my view, that's the best way to buy fabric. And the second best way is to have a really good relationship with an online retailer that you trust. Because a lot of the small, even if you have a storefront, the retailers have an online business and that's what keeps them afloat. So I would encourage you to buy it from a local person near where you live.
I love that. That is right up our alley. That's exactly what we always say too. So thank you for sharing that. And thank you, Billy, for sharing your story with us. We really appreciate that you took time out of your very, very busy schedule to be with us. Before we close, do you have any advice for someone who might be an aspiring fabric designer who was inspired by your journey?
Well, any designer, of any creative person, I would say the same thing. Take risks. Don't be afraid of making mistakes, because that's how you learn. And I think that's a lesson of life for everything. So follow what your passion is, and don't be afraid to mess up.
Such good advice, like you said, for everything in life. So thank you. It was really fun to hear about your creative process, to see how all your lines are connected and work together but yet stand on their own. Thank you so much for making the time to be with us, and I will look forward to seeing you in Houston this fall.
Absolutely, I'll be there.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.
I hope you all enjoyed meeting Billy and hearing his story and seeing his beautiful fabrics. He definitely is one of my very favorite designers, and I was really thrilled to have him here with us today. As always, just as Billy said, ask for these fabrics, patterns, and supplies at your local quilt shop. They are so important to all of us, and it's up to all of us to keep them going. So if they don't have these products, they can certainly get them. Fabrics from FreeSpirit or their favorite fabric distributor or from us. And we're happy to set up wholesale accounts, so please ask them to contact us for more information. Just know that we don't have fabrics, but we've got all the other stuff. Be sure to stay tuned at the end of today's episode to see a video clip of some of the local quilt shops that we featured on social media this week. Today we are featuring the Old Country Store in Intercourse, Pennsylvania. They were our regional winner for Pennsylvania in this year's LQS contest, and they are actually the winningest store in the history of our contest. They've won every single year since the contest opened. They are in the midst of the Mid-Atlantic Shop Hop, so be sure to stop in and check them out. We are also featuring Kirstens Quilt Shop in Denmark, who was the winner for Denmark both this year and last. And we always love catching up with Kirsten at market, and we really look forward to visiting her shop in person one day. So thank you again to everyone who joined us today. We will be back next Wednesday at 2 p.m. Mountain Time with another really inspiring episode of Live with Annie. We are going to be joined by the amazing Alyssa Zaccardi of Quilting Alyssa to talk about her fabulous coordinated wearable ensembles. You are going to be blown away by her work, so mark your calendar now. And until then, happy stitching!
Hi, I'm Teresa of ByAnnie.com and Patterns by Annie. Today we are visiting the Old Country Store in Intercourse, Pennsylvania. The winningest shop in our annual LQS contest. They have won every year, including the grand prize in 2020 and as regional winner for Pennsylvania in both 2023 and 2024. Located in the heart of Amish country, the Old Country Store opened in 1978, specializing in handmade Mennonite and Amish quilts and crafts. Fabrics, sewing notions, and quilting supplies were soon added, and the rest is history. In May 2024, owners Jan and Dean Mast celebrated 10 years of ownership. They are quick to credit their entire team for the collective success of the store. Jan said, "Our staff is A+. We enjoy working together to source, display, and sell to our customers while giving exceptional customer service." While the shop is located in central Pennsylvania, they serve the needs of quilting customers nationwide. They ship fabric and do long arming for quilters all over the country. In fact, they run 3 long arms 5 days a week. That is a lot of quilting. When you visit the Old Country Store, you will find a wide variety of fabrics, including Cape Facet, batiks, and reproduction prints. They also have finished quilts and notions galore. Classes are held regularly, and they even have a quilting retreat center called The Loft that they opened earlier this year. When we asked Jan about the local quilt shop contest and what effect it had, she told us. They say iron sharpens iron, and we know that working hard to keep our edge and do our best benefits our customers, students, and the entire quilting community. We are thrilled and honored to be among the best shops nationally, and it spurs us to keep ahead of trends, source the best products, listen to our customers, and keep on going for another 10 years. Our win is a win for all of the Old Country Store community. That rings true, and we are so glad to hear their customers feel the same way. The local quilt shop contest submissions were filled with similar praise for the store's helpful staff and beautiful fabrics, as well as their unique building and displays. Lisa commented, "The Old Country Store is beautiful inside and out. They offer handmade sewing notions as well as fabric. It is fun to walk through, and the staff is very nice and super helpful." Rochelle wrote, "I saw the most beautiful hand-quilted cream-on-cream quilt and decided I wanted to become a quilter. It was my first realization that anyone is able to patchwork and quilt, and my passion for patchwork has grown from that moment." I so enjoyed learning more about the Old Country Store, and I hope you did too. If you live near them or are planning a trip to Pennsylvania, be sure to stop in and check them out. Intercourse is an easy drive from Philadelphia, Harrisburg, Baltimore, and Washington, D.C. The area is known for its local produce, slower pace, and beautiful scenery. Local quilt shops are such an important part of our sewing community, and we are happy to share more about the Old Country Store. Make sure to visit them online at oldcountrystore.com, and happy stitching! Hi, I'm Teresa Coates of ByAnnie.com and Patterns by Annie. Today we are visiting Kirstens Quilt in Hedehusene, Denmark, the Danish winner of our local quilt shop contest in both 2023 and 2024. Kirstens Quilt Shop began in 2004, opening first as an online shop and 4 years later moving into a brick and mortar location. Kirsten, the owner and operator, is a certified Studio 180 instructor and works hard to provide her customers with a full range of quilting and bag making supplies. Built on what used to be a farm, the 2,500 square feet of shopping space was previously a horse stable. The old hayloft has been converted into a large classroom. You can find both local and international instructors teaching up to 20 students at a time in the loft space, and classes are available on a variety of techniques, among them machine quilting with rulers, paper piecing, and textile art. Kirstens Quilt has a wonderful selection of batiks and prints. They carry a variety of patterns, including lots of ByAnnie patterns. You'll find bag hardware, mesh, zippers, and other bag accessories needed for those projects. She carries a variety of battings, wool, cotton, poly, silk, and more, and a large selection of thread, including king tut and glide machine quilting thread. When we asked how winning the local quilt shop contest for her area has affected her shop, Kirsten told us that she has used that opportunity to add a large selection of ByAnnie products to the shop, adding bag making classes, and this has really given the shop a boost. We are so glad to hear that. Her customers have loved it too. Ann Mehta commented about the many lovely fabrics to choose from, lots of accessories and patterns too. Kirsten will always help you with your project and give you her opinion on how to get the best result. That's one thing we really love about locally owned quilt shops, the customer service and knowledgeable advice. This fall, Kirstens Quilt will be participating in a shop hop with demos, as well as hosting multi-day sew-together events. If you live near them or are planning a trip to Denmark, be sure to stop in and check them out. Make sure to schedule some extra time to visit the Roskilde Cathedral, the 12th century basilica that is just 5 miles away. And if you head to nearby Hedeland, you can actually go troll hunting. I so enjoyed learning more about Kirstens Quilts, and I hope that you did too. Local quilt shops are the lifeblood of our sewing and quilting communities, and it's up to all of us to keep them strong and vibrant. Whether you need help choosing fabrics and supplies for your next project, a lesson in cutting, sewing, binding, or other skills, a listening ear and some helpful advice, or just a chance to pet the fabrics, a local quilt shop is there for you. Happy stitching!